Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Tyler Baratz and I'm excited to share my design process as I come closer to completing my adventure vehicle. We've got a lot to cover, so sit tight and enjoy. If anyone has any questions throughout the presentation, please note the page number and topic. Here is a brief glimpse of what we'll be discussing today. Today's presentation will recapture findings uncovered in the research portion of the project and the progression of data that is helping shape the overall design of an electric adventure vehicle. Last we spoke, we were in the discover and define phase of the project. Over the past few months, the project has evolved from data collection to conceptual ideation, with a lot of sketching, iterating, focusing on the function of the design based on accessibility, human factors for comfort, and storage. Considering all that an SUV can do prompted questions of what it doesn't yet do that can enhance the ownership experience. The SUV is coveted and still on the rise because of its passenger capacity, space, and go-anywhere attitude. The problem observed over time was that even the most spacious adventure cars have more focus on the interior for passenger comfort and large general cargo spaces like the trunk, which makes packing the car a game of Tetris that everyone dreads. Not all the space is fully utilized and takes away from the backseat comfort. Before packing on a recent trip I took with a friend, we took inspiration from cars packed by cleaning services and luggage carts at hotels and airports. Roof racks and trailers are popular because of the ease of detachment. The average American garage is suited for 2 cars, so trailers are kept outside. Pain points associated with extra or added storage spaces are the worry of trailing at high speeds, off-road, and getting caught in bad weather situations. So in short, I ask, why I and so many others are compromising on their adventures. As we last discussed, the pain points associated in an adventure, road trip, and shopping trip alike are associated in the end with the vehicle itself. And after taking a closer look at the competition, I've narrowed down a general size and direction for my adventure vehicle. The units will start at 70 grand, assuming that we can get an average of 150,000 units sold a year. 2 to 4,000 first-year units sold as a solo manufacturer is what's expected, at 120,000 per unit. I've added the indoors experience to what people don't know that they are asking for. Access from the interior of the cabin to cargo, and a better in-garage experience which will come into play next semester. Our market personas are best represented by 3 different demographics: extreme athletes, successful influencers, and America's parents. Each of these groups have one thing in common. They want to get things done the right way, whatever it might cost. If you have a minute to go back over these personas, I highly encourage you to do so to better understand the market. For the sake of time, I'll be breezing through these pages, but would love to talk to anyone who has any questions about my personas. Like I said, there's a lot to discuss. We've got the recap and a lot of new design content. And now that we're out of the recap, let's take a look at the process involved in getting closer to the final design of an electric utility sport crossover vehicle, built with a focus on storage, functionality, conversion, and accessibility. These are the areas based on my research findings I believe will enhance the experience of the ownership of a vehicle. I've compiled lists over time of what an adventure vehicle should do, and typically what is packed before personal packables. Something I constantly considered was how can we minimize extra emergency accessories typically taking up storage space in an adventure vehicle while making space for packables for various hobbies and activities that is accessible to the owner. As ideation began, I looked at a lot of SUVs and vans from their exterior in order to provide some familiar shapes to work with, as well as push some boundaries on what might be considered sci-fi superhero movie concepts like the Batmobile or Slave One from Star Wars. Once I had a general understanding of vehicle layouts, I started toying with how the arrangement of the seats could allow for different approach to storage in a vehicle as well as access. I found that pushing the seats back further and limiting the car to 2 rows of seats fits the need of the explorers, enthusiasts, and influencers alike. Space for 1 to 3 passengers with a driver, so 4 people in total at the most. A lot of interior cargo space, considering the use of electric motors, allows for more space without a massive engine and a drive shaft. It does, however, raise the height a bit considering the fitment of the seats in the rear. To save on costs and possible malfunctions, I'm considering all mount hinge and fold points be hand-managed rather than fully electronically motorized. This is subject to change. This applies to things like the pop top, possibility of removable roof, sliding roof rack, and doors. storage spaces throughout the vehicle, and scenarios alike. Since this vehicle is adventure focused, I wanted to find a way to be able to open almost all of the car upon its arrival. Though a lot of campers and adventurers pack their own tents, this would be a luxury comparable to converted vans and having an off-ground clean space. Having an off-ground clean space can spare travelers and adventurers a lot of clutter and stress. A small base, if you will, to heavily rely on in leisure and emergencies. Once I had figured out the extra access points, I was able to give those spaces roles, whether it was another door, another point to storage, or the interior, or a completely new space for dirty and messy packables. I wanted to give this vehicle the ability to expand at its destination because of the luxury associated with cargo and clean space on an adventure. It makes the most sense to have a smaller sized car to get through tight spaces on and off the road, but I didn't want that to take away from the potential of having this car offer a safe space when you're away from home. A few other considerations I had along the way were multi-use panels and accessories found on an adventure car. Like a ladder integrated in the body panels and a roof rack combined with padded interior removable roof lining that doubles as a folding seat when not in use of storage. While I was sketching through the mechanics to make sure I was sketching to scale, I was able to think through some other ideas to help this car thrive on its own. For instance, the bear crawl. Utilizing an axle portal, this would allow the entire wheel to spin around the axle rather than parallel to it to help you get unstuck. Another idea that helps keep this car moving is angling the front suspension and allowing the energy flowing through the suspension to generate more charge and more power over time to the battery. Without an axle portal, the suspension can be used to mimic a bear crawl as well. I started to map out the car's interior measurements and wheel wells to make sure I was providing an accurate sketch, and along the way found ways to incorporate sliding storage spaces that could be removed. This is helpful with access to your packables, adjusting the interior space to your liking, and cleanability. Now let's take a look at how these orientations translate to my three concepts. Keeping in mind how different sizes suit different adventures, I designed around three different vehicles: a van, labeled the spaceship, the SUV, and a coupe. This is the AT-ET. A van-type vehicle with 6 37-inch wheels and maximum grip power. The wheel wells allow for up to 40-inch wheels. It seats up to 4 and is set up for maximum interior space and allows for conversion. Something all these concepts will feature is a truck bed-like lining that is easier to clean and can handle a beating once in a while, mount points in the floor that can raise and lower, storage in the rear and front, which is the front trunk, and a rear storage access point that stands out of the way of the rear. What's unique to the AT-ET is that the driver's side storage and accessibility points. The second concept, which falls into the SUV class, is called the AT-AVE. It comes standard with 33-inch wheels and has room for 40s as well. It is more of a contortionist than the van, considering its ability to expand and collapse at its destination to make more room. It too seats 4 and has maximized storage and utility capabilities thanks to the sliding cargo and seat setups. And finally, let's meet the AT-SVE, not to be considered the runt in any way. The idea behind this scout-type vehicle is to allow you to go anywhere and bring virtually any of your gear with you in a rally sport fashion. It fits 2 passengers and has more cargo room than it does for people. The driver's side is where the passenger can be found in a tandem seating orientation, with access to the quote-unquote passenger side storage. The rear features storage similar to sliding cabinets, and the passenger side has access to storage from both the sides, the top of the cargo area, and the front is used for storage. And one more thing to discuss, the idea of scout drones. The idea behind these drones is to capture your moments so you don't miss a beat during your adventure, as well as tracking security to help you stay safe and not get lost. So what's next? What's in store for the rest of this project is going to focus on finessing the design for a stunning, rugged appearance and using CAD and clay modeling to make sure the functionality and versatility of this vehicle is working. Giving the final concept a strong design presence is a major key to the final deliverable. Confidence is key in ownership, and I intend to design something different that than what appears in modern car designs, however still familiar, rugged, and utilitarian-based, like a Jeep, the old Humvee, and even the new Cybertruck. One more thing I'd like to give to life through this project is an alternate route to hauling their packables. With all the car will be able to offer at the desired size, there is still possibility of a trailer system. An off-roading self-hauling trailer that is programmed by a system like LiDAR to follow you in your car without worrying about towing capabilities. And of course, in the case of an emergency, allow for a hookup, possibly power and battery sharing capabilities. This idea stemmed from successful self-driving truck platoons deployed out in Europe, inspiring me to think about virtual trail, if you will, that allows other self-driving vehicles to follow your trail during or even long after you've made a trip. In theory, you wouldn't even have to deploy your packable trailer right away. For instance, spending a day at a park hiking and off-roading where the self-hauling packer isn't needed allows you to have a better time exploring and off-roading, deploying your packer later in the day to meet you. Thank you again for tuning in. My name is Tyler Baratz, and I hope you enjoyed my process.